What is up, guys? It's Flash back with some more charts, another video. It's Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, about 5:20 p.m. Eastern. Today we are on the blog.microstrategist.com website, and we're going to read one of these blog posts done by MicroStrategist.com at Bitcoin Power Law on X. This one we're going to read is the one posted on January 1st, 2025. It's called MicroStrategy and Bitcoin in 2025, The Next Big Move by Marty Kendall. MSTR Ballistic Acceleration Model and Fair Value Estimate. 2024 was the year I fell down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. I'd previously dismissed it as volatile and speculative after the FTX collapse. But after watching RFK Jr.'s speech at the Nashville Bitcoin conference, it all made sense. I understood that Bitcoin was not just another cryptocurrency, but the inevitable future of capital preservation. It would make money fair by providing fundamental property rights to the poorest people whose money is melting faster than most. This would make it impossible to wage needless wars with unlimited borrowed money, driving up the cost of living and stealing from future generations. After reading the Bitcoin Standard and the Fiat Standard, I realized that my savings from my engineering career were not growing. They were melting as the banking system created more money. The more I studied, the more I realized it was inevitable. In this article, I want to summarize what I've learned from analyzing Bitcoin's momentum and subsequently MSTR, and highlight where we're headed in 2025. Navigating Bitcoin's peaks and valleys with the power law. I thought Bitcoin was the future, but it's volatile. Sure, Bitcoin has gone up a lot over the last 15 years, but would it continue? And how could I navigate those nasty drawdowns? After a few weeks of digging into Bitcoin, I stumbled across Giovanni Santostasi and Stephen Perinaud, two PhD astrophysicists, talking about the Bitcoin power law. While the power law sounds mysterious, it's not a law written in stone. It's a mathematical concept that helps us understand trends in many orders of magnitude, e.g. Bitcoin going from 5 cents to 100K over 15 years. The internet, viruses, and many other things in nature follow a power law growth curve. While there is plenty of FUD around Bitcoin going to zero, as well as hopium pushers talking about a phase shift and omega candles that will take Bitcoin to $1 million next week, plotting Bitcoin's price or market cap on a log scale brings some sanity to the emotional extremes. But the cool thing about the power law is that it adapts to recent price data like a flashlight in the dark to give us a more accurate picture of where it's going in the next few years. The adaptive power law. As shown in the chart below, with increasing R2 over the past 6 years, the strength of this power law relationship has only strengthened over time. Importantly, the gradient of the power law also adapts to more recent price data, giving us a refined understanding of where Bitcoin might go in the coming months and years. Notice how the gradient has steepened through 2024 as the Bitcoin price growth accelerated after the ETF's approval earlier in the year and then again after the US election. Rethinking Bitcoin's birthday for better predictions. While most people take day zero as the date of the Genesis block, optimizing day zero can improve the regression fit. While the first Bitcoin block was mined on January 3rd, 2009, the first financial transaction wasn't until May 22nd, 2009, Pizza Day, and it didn't become a meaningful store of value until much later. As shown in the chart below, assuming a day zero of October 26, 2009 optimizes R2 and AIC, remaining flexible on the start date for our modeling improves accuracy for future modeling. Setting boundaries. Quantiles to keep Bitcoin predictions on track. The power law regression analysis also gives us clear guardrails, quantiles, for how high or low the price may go. While price oscillates wildly within these guardrails, it's statistically unlikely that we'll see the Bitcoin price spike above or below these lines. Anytime we get a massive run-up, the long-term momentum tends to pull the price back to the long-term trend. Riding the wave, how halving cycles shape Bitcoin. Oh, and Bitcoin has seen some crazy bubbles and crashes in the past around the approximately 4-year halving cycle. If we continue to see these cycles forward, we get the green line in the market cap shown above. The chart below shows what prices will look like if these cycles continue. While we can't know the future, Bitcoin may reach 342,000 in October this year if cycles repeat. While some on X are forecasting a massive supply shock and price spike if and when the US adopts a strategic Bitcoin reserve and other nations continue to buy Bitcoin to preserve their wealth, the mathematical reality is that we need major companies and countries to buy into Bitcoin for it to continue the log power law trend. While the prospect of $340,000 Bitcoin in 10 months is exciting, 400% CAGR, I prefer a slower grind up with the power law trend adjusting without the fear-driven plunge after the FOMO spike. With the vast majority of the ultimate 21 million Bitcoin supply already mined, many believe that the halving cycles will play less of a role in the future, particularly with companies and countries buying the tops and every dip. Global liquidity will likely play a larger role in future cycles. Eventually, however, once Bitcoin consumes enough of the world's capital, there may be nowhere safer to run to avoid future downturns. Regardless of how things play out, 2025 will be a big year for Bitcoin. We're still early. MSTR's bold moves, building the future on Bitcoin. Next, let's look at MicroStrategy, which has been building on a Bitcoin treasury since 2020. Similar to BTC, it has phenomenal returns but is volatile and misunderstood. How MSTR's aggressive Bitcoin strategy outpaces BTC. Because it's so poorly understood, there is plenty of hopium and FUD around MSTR. No one understands how to value a Bitcoin treasury company stacking Bitcoin exponentially. But again, the log power plot gives us some insights. Because MSTR is aggressively increasing its Bitcoin per share, or Bitcoin yield, MSTR's price accelerates faster than Bitcoin's. Notice on the plot of log BTC versus log MSTR since July 2022 that the best fit is a second-order polynomial. With this understanding of the relationship between BTC price and MSTR, we can model where the MSTR price might go if Bitcoin continues as it has in previous cycles. The chart below shows that the MSTR price and the model match quite nicely. The MSTR price is in red, the Ballistic acceleration model is in green. The model also indicates that the MSTR price will get pretty crazy later next year, peaking at around 22,000 as BTC rips to 340,000. Next year as in 2025. All your models are destroyed when Godzilla arrives. What's MSTR worth? The fair value model. But beyond the simple relationship between BTC and MSTR price, we can dig another layer deeper to examine what MSTR is trying to do. Build BTC per share with a laser focus on BTC yield. The more BTC they can pack into each share of MSTR, the more the value of MSTR will increase as BTC rises. The chart below shows BTC value per share, or BTC per share times BTC price, versus MSTR price. Because the Bitcoin yield is accounted for separately, this relationship is linear. You can think of this as a more refined version of the MNAV relationship on a log scale. BTC yield, how MicroStrategy maximizes shareholder value. The chart below shows MSTR's BTC per diluted share since they started their BTC treasury operations in August 2000. Initially, they simply recycled profits from the software business into BTC. But everything changed in August 2024 when they realized they could sell shares at the market, ATM, to raise money to buy more Bitcoin and increase the BTC yield, or the cumulative change in BTC per share. Notice the step change in BTC per share since August 2024. To the right of the red line, today's date, January 1st, 2025, is the projected BTC yield required to keep up with the Ballistic acceleration model. It's still early days, but we can see that they've been stacking sats super aggressively since November 2024, with weekly announcements of more Bitcoin buys. While their official target BTC long-term BTC yield is 6 to 10%, according to their Q3 earnings call, the model fit to match the Ballistic growth is 0.43% per day, or 3.1% per week, or 386% per year. It's still early days, but the recent drop in share price has slowed ATM sales to raise capital to stack Bitcoin. However, the focus on convertible bonds will likely ramp up in 2025, with companies like Strive lining up to market their Bitcoin bonds to the retail market. Using the BTC per share trajectory and the forecast BTC price, we can map out the future MSTR price. I've called this the MSTR fair value model, shown in the chart below, blue line, along with the Ballistic acceleration model, green line. Navigating the extremes, guardrails for MSTR's price swings. While we can calculate the theoretical model price, markets are driven by fear and greed, so they don't nearly follow fair value. Like the quantiles on the power law Bitcoin model, I've shown ranges for the fair value model. When the market is greedy and has FOMO, MSTR's price pushes along the 95th percentile red dotted line. However, when there is confusion and uncertainty, it drops to the 5th percentile lower boundary. I've created oscillators for the Ballistic acceleration model and fair value models in the chart below. If I had to pick one, I would use the fair value model oscillator, blue line, to indicate when we're overbought versus oversold based on the value of the Bitcoin per share. As at the time of writing, January 2, 2025, the fair value oscillator is down to 7%. The last time we saw the oscillator this low was in January 2024 when the Bitcoin ETFs were announced. Everyone dropped MSTR thinking it was dead. However, shortly afterwards, once the options traders pivoted from the miners to MSTR for the volatility, the price of MSTR jumped from $43 to $200 in late March 2024, back up to the top of the fair value range. Current MSTR setup. As we kick off 2025, we have a very interesting MSTR setup. After coming off the November 21 highs, we're at the lower end of the fair value range. Trading volume and Bitcoin price are down, with everyone de-risking before the holiday break and traders harvesting their end-of-year tax losses. But Bitcoin will undoubtedly come to life again once everyone returns to work. Interestingly, there has been talk of market makers trying to suppress MSTR prices until the historic January 17, 2025 options expiry to minimize their losses due to the massive run-up in MSTR to date. The lowest point on the 5th percentile guardrail is $259 on January 7, 2025. However, on January 21, 2025, after the inauguration and the U.S. public holiday, MLK Day, the options market makers will likely need to buy many MSTR shares to make good on the options trades. This is about when MSTR will likely start their blackout period, when they can't sell shares ATM before the next earnings call. While the earnings call date hasn't been announced, it's likely to be 4 or 9 February 2025. If all the shorts also need to be covered when people start getting more excited about a possible U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve, we could see another explosive move from the up to the upper end of the fair value range at around $1,000. This would be the perfect time for MSTR to hammer the ATM again to bring the MNAV back down and increase BTC yield exponentially. But Saylor has hinted that he would like to focus more on the convertible debt to raise funds and let the equity price run to benefit loyal shareholders. Wrapping it up, key takeaways for Bitcoin and MSTR in 2025. We'll refine the models and provide updates as we get more data, but if historical trends continue, MSTR's ascent, riding on the back of the Bitcoin bull, will be unprecedented. It's also sure to be a bumpy ride. MSTR is a long-term play for those who believe in Bitcoin and trust in Saylor's engineering of the financial markets. Volatility is a feature, not a bug. This is not financial advice. It is just my musings as an engineer trying to understand Saylor's unprecedented financial engineering Godzilla model. It'll be interesting to revisit this in 12 months to see how my model is. All models are wrong, but some are useful. George EP Box. So I think this is a super powerful blog post, again, by Marty Kendall from the MicroStrategist's blog. He posts almost, every other day, it seems like. But if we go to MicroStrategist.com and we go to the Ballistic model, new, and here's kind of that, he talks about R2 and log and second order polynomials. A lot of that stuff is over my head, mathematically speaking. But he kind of brings it to light in this website. So as you can see here, these green dots are the price of MicroStrategy, and they're following this line essentially. So the BTC price is on the bottom. As it goes up, you can see the green dots increase in MicroStrategy price, which is the y-axis. So today, MicroStrategy was 336. The model has it at 381. So it's undervalued. But if we kind of extrapolate this, 240K Bitcoin is about $6,000 MicroStrategy. And that goes back again to the blog and in this chart, right? So what I did on my chart was I kind of just took this and, April 3rd, 2025, he has the MSTR price mapped at $2,000. So if we just go to MSTR, April 3rd, here's that little box. It's April 3rd up here at $2,000. And then, there could be some sort of pullback. We're modeling past Bitcoin cycles, and then we make a run up to $20,000 by October 20th, 2025. Kind of insane price targets, right? But what I want to zoom in here, I'm going to zoom in here on MicroStrategy. And I've done this before where, we take the fibs of these compressions in price and we pull them down. So the 3.618 was hit, the 4.764 was hit on that consolidation. We can do the same thing on here. 3.618 was hit, didn't quite make it up to the 4.764. But these little compressions in MicroStrategy, ever since, September, October, when this strategy really started going, these expansions in price are astronomical, right? So now here we are today. We pull the fibs on this consolidation. The 3.618 is $2,000, kind of on the dot, right? And that could be happening in April, per the Ballistic acceleration model. I'm not sure. But that $20,000 price target, that is up there. I think we maybe take it one step at a time. But so far, out of this little consolidation, this compression in price, we broke out of it pretty aggressively. Right, from bottom to top was 34.38%. And, a little bit of a pullback. Pulled back to, the golden pocket, 0.618 of this little upthrust. And we're kind of consolidating. And so I think, I pulled this fractal also out from, Marty Kendall or the MicroStrategist. I pulled that fractal. This is the previous fractal. I just copied and pasted it and enlarged it. But it kind of matches up with this, like this portion right in here. From where we are today up through April 3rd, 2025, this has price going to 2,000. So I think we pretty much just want to follow this fractal, follow this line. And what we can do is like copy it, maybe give it a lower band, copy it, maybe give it a higher band, and like kind of stay within this track, so to speak. We'll see if it plays out or not, but so far it's looking pretty good. I also wanted to look at MicroStrategy measured in Bitcoin. And again, you know, if we zoom out to the 2-day, well, if we zoom way out first, you know, I've showed this chart before, but this is MSTR measured in Bitcoin. So obviously MicroStrategy was getting smoked from Bitcoin before they had their Bitcoin strategy. So if we want to zoom in a little bit, we'll go onto the weekly time frame. Like here we are, we're starting to outperform Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is, you know, we'll see if this will continue to play out. But we got our golden channels here. We want to stay within these channels and continue our up thrust. So we've got the moving average on there. It's green, meaning we're in good shape. We can zoom into the 3 hour, put it on the line chart. Here's where we are recently. Like we started back in September 2024. We really outperformed Bitcoin. Kind of had this mini blow off top here. We broke this green trend line, and this told us that Bitcoin was going to outperform MicroStrategy for a little bit. As you can see, MicroStrategy took a pretty big dip while Bitcoin stayed relatively steady. Since then, we have broken out versus Bitcoin, right? And now we kind of pulled back a little bit, but I think we're kind of, the pressure has been released. And so I think MicroStrategy now can run against Bitcoin. And so I'll continue to follow this. Ideally, we kind of follow this green trend line. We kind of have a similar trend in place, and we have another blow off top. So this is something I'm keeping an eye on. End of the day, guys, I hope this was helpful. Definitely check out Marty Kendall's blog, the MicroStrategist, on X. It's at Bitcoin Power Law. He's a great follow. Drop me a like if you found this helpful. I'll see you guys in the next one.